In the spring of 332 BCE, Alexander the Great, having already swept through Asia Minor and Phoenicia, set his sights on Tyre, a city unlike any he had encountered. Tyre was a jewel of the eastern Mediterranean, an island fortress surrounded by the sea, its walls rising defiantly from the rocky shores. It had resisted Persian influence for decades, boasting an economy built on maritime trade, an elite navy, and a population confident in its own impregnability. To Alexander, Tyre was more than a city. It was a challenge to his authority, a symbol of defiance that could not remain unbroken if he were to consolidate his power in the region. Tyre lay 7 miles off the coast of the mainland, connected only by the waters that swirled between the island and the Phoenician shore. Its walls were formidable, rising nearly 100 feet above the sea, and its fortifications were designed to repel both land and sea attacks. The citizens of Tyre were experienced in naval warfare and had stockpiled supplies, confident that time was on their side. Alexander, meanwhile, faced a logistical nightmare. To assault the city directly would require naval power, which he lacked, for the Persian fleet still dominated the eastern Mediterranean. He had already secured coastal cities along Phoenicia, many of which surrendered willingly. But Tyre's stubbornness demanded a solution that would push the limits of engineering, strategy, and human endurance. Upon arriving, Alexander sent envoys to negotiate, offering terms of surrender and promising leniency to those who would yield. Tyre's leaders, steeped in pride and aware of their island's natural defenses, refused outright. Their response was a calculated challenge, a statement that Alexander could not ignore. The siege had begun, and the Macedonian army quickly realized that conventional methods would fail. Tyre's defenders hurled projectiles from the walls, while their ships patrolled the waters, preventing any approach from the sea. Alexander understood that to conquer Tyre, he would need to innovate in ways previously unattempted. The first solution he conceived was the construction of a massive causeway, a mole of earth and stone extending from the mainland to the island. This monumental effort would transform the waters separating Tyre into a solid approach, allowing siege engines to reach the walls and infantry to engage the defenders directly. Thousands of soldiers, laborers, and engineers toiled day and night, transporting stone, timber, and earth to create a pathway over the sea. The work was grueling, complicated by Tyre's relentless attacks. Archers and catapults from the walls rained down missiles upon the laborers, while Tyrian ships tried to ram the emerging causeway and destroy it before it could reach the walls. Yet Alexander's resolve was unyielding. As the causeway advanced, Alexander deployed siege engines, towers, and battering rams atop its surface. These machines were carefully designed to provide cover for soldiers, to shield them from the projectiles of Tyre's defenders, and to eventually batter the walls once the mole reached the island. Despite the initial progress, the defenders adapted, reinforcing the walls facing the causeway, adding new towers, and launching counterattacks from the water. The siege became a war of engineering ingenuity, a contest of patience and perseverance. Alexander's army worked relentlessly, repairing damage, advancing the causeway, and maintaining morale in the face of constant harassment. Recognizing the need to control the sea, Alexander undertook an ambitious naval program. He constructed ships in coastal cities, training crews and assembling a fleet capable of challenging Tyre's navy. This fleet did not match the Tyrians ship for ship initially, but it allowed Alexander to blockade the harbor and provide support for the siege engines on the causeway. With naval pressure applied, Tyre's defenders faced the dual threat of assault from both land and sea. Meanwhile, the Macedonian engineers continued to extend the causeway, inch by inch, over 7 months of relentless labor. The construction of the mole altered the landscape of the harbor. It narrowed the waters and eventually connected to the walls of the city, enabling Alexander to deploy siege towers directly against Tyre's fortifications. These towers, mounted on rollers and covered with protective materials to shield from missiles and fire, brought Macedonian archers and artillery within range of the defenders. Battering rams struck at the walls, slowly weakening their structure, while marines from Alexander's fleet prepared to assault the harbor. Tyre's defenders fought with desperation, launching sorties, setting fire to siege engines, and attempting to sink the Macedonian ships. The city became a crucible of strategy, endurance, and sheer human determination. As the siege reached its climax, Alexander coordinated a simultaneous assault from land and sea. Siege towers approached the walls from the causeway, while ships carrying soldiers pressed the attack from the water. The Tyrians, exhausted from months of resistance and relentless attacks, struggled to maintain cohesion. Their walls, once thought impenetrable, began to crumble under the combined assault of rams and artillery. Alexander personally oversaw the operations, moving among his troops, inspiring courage, and ensuring that every effort was synchronized. His presence galvanized the army, reinforcing the sense that no obstacle was insurmountable under his command. When the Macedonians finally breached the walls, the city's defenders and inhabitants faced a grim reality. Alexander allowed his soldiers to enter, and a fierce and bloody fight erupted within the streets of Tyre. Historical accounts describe the intensity of the combat, with thousands of Tyrians killed or enslaved, and the city itself devastated. Alexander's victory was complete, a demonstration not only of military might, but of ingenuity, patience, and unrelenting ambition. Tyre, the island fortress that had defied empires, had fallen to a man who refused to accept impossibility. The siege left a lasting impact on Alexander's campaign and on the Mediterranean world. It secured his control over the eastern coast, removed a major naval threat, and sent a message to other cities that resistance against the Macedonian conqueror would meet with unyielding force. The construction of the causeway itself transformed the geography of the harbor, an enduring testament to human ingenuity under extreme conditions. Soldiers and engineers would carry the lessons of Tyre forward, inspired by the realization that ingenuity could overcome even the most formidable natural defenses. In the aftermath, Alexander consolidated his power, replenished his army, and continued his relentless advance into Egypt and beyond. Tyre's fall became emblematic of his strategic genius, illustrating how determination, engineering, and tactical flexibility could bend the world to the will of a single leader. It was a victory born of patience as much as power, of planning as much as courage, and it set a precedent for sieges to come. The memory of Tyre remained, both as a city reborn under Macedonian oversight and as a cautionary tale of defiance met with unrelenting force. The siege of Tyre in 332 BCE stands as one of the most remarkable examples of military engineering and strategic foresight in history. It was not merely a test of swords and spears, but of minds and ingenuity. Alexander's combination of diplomacy, logistics, engineering, and relentless willpower turned the impossible into the inevitable. The city that had once seemed untouchable became a testament to what could be achieved when ambition met preparation, and when determination met the unyielding resolve to overcome every obstacle. Soldiers, historians, and leaders have since marveled at the siege, analyzing every detail from the construction of the mole to the coordination of naval and land forces. More than a conquest, the siege demonstrated the psychological dimension of warfare. Tyre had resisted the Persians for decades, confident in its immunity from siege. Alexander's unwavering pressure, month after month, eroded that confidence. The Macedonians endured harsh conditions, laboring under fire and over water, and in doing so, they displayed the interplay of morale, leadership, and human endurance in determining the outcome of warfare. Tyre fell not solely because of superior force, but because Alexander understood that persistence, creativity, and the careful application of resources could dismantle even the strongest walls. The legacy of Tyre endured long after the smoke cleared. The city was rebuilt, its harbor reshaped, and its population eventually integrated under Macedonian control. Alexander's victory served as a strategic springboard, allowing him to secure Phoenicia and move deeper into Egypt and Mesopotamia. Military scholars study the siege to this day, examining how one man's vision, combined with disciplined execution and innovative thinking, could overcome natural and man-made obstacles alike. Tyre remains a symbol of both defiance and the triumph of human ingenuity applied to the art of war. Even beyond the tactical and strategic significance, the siege of Tyre exemplifies Alexander's character and leadership. His personal involvement, willingness to endure hardships alongside his men, and capacity to inspire loyalty and courage in the face of formidable odds define the qualities that made him a legendary figure. The siege also illustrates the complexities of conquest, the ethical dimensions of warfare, and the consequences of resistance in an age where empires collided and survival demanded both strength and strategy. Tyre's fall marked a turning point in Alexander's campaign. It demonstrated that no natural barrier or urban fortification could halt his advance when met with determination, planning, and creativity. The lessons of the siege reverberated through subsequent campaigns, shaping military thinking for centuries. The story of Alexander at Tyre endures not only as a chronicle of conquest, but as a narrative of human potential, where vision and perseverance combined to achieve what once seemed impossible. Alexander's victory at Tyre was complete, absolute, and unforgettable. It encapsulated the essence of his military genius and the relentless ambition that propelled him from the Macedonian heartland to the edges of the known world. The city that once defied empires became a testament to the capacity of one leader to challenge, innovate, and ultimately prevail. The siege of Tyre, in all its complexity, danger, and drama, remains one of the defining moments of Alexander the Great's campaign, a story of impossible victory achieved through vision, engineering, courage, and the unyielding will to conquer.